Somebody, please fix this marriage. Hello, my friend. This is Clyde. Today we're venturing into some deep waters, but I have confidence that we can make it to the other side. Let us talk about marriages that are in trouble. I just heard that thought. Someone is thinking, here we go again. Yes, here we go again, because I am the eternal optimist, and I feel that when we try the right approach, the God approach, bad situations will turn around. So without further ado, let us get started. Isn't it strange that marriage presents so much problems and challenges, and when you were planning the wedding of the year, everybody was sure that this was going to be the marriage of the century. After all, we dated for a good while. Some of us lived together for several months leading up to the wedding. Our parents prayed for us, so we got to know each other's family, and we had a really good pastor who led us into a beautiful ceremony. What more can one desire? Marriage is easily the most beautiful emotional experience, but there are so many marriages that are crashing or have already crashed. I don't know your story, but there's a growing number of Christian couples after a few years since the nuptials, they are heading off to the divorce court. What seems to be the problem? Some wives are in loveless relationships. They are living together, but there is no joy, no satisfaction, no growth in the marriage. I could easily guess that too many of our men are lacking in commitment, but men seem to get the brunt of the blame all the time. Well, let us zero in on one common problem. I know that some marriages are lopsided. One spouse is a Christian and the other isn't. Do you know what I'm talking about? Somebody took on a challenge that they knew was wrong. I'm sure you heard that famous text a million times over in the period leading up to the wedding, but the groom-to-be played his cards right, and the bride-to-be put on a good show that she is spiritual. He came to church with you a couple of times, and so you were optimistic. You had a strong feeling that she would get saved right after the wedding, because we're going to have devotions together. We're going to pray together every night. But within 2 weeks after the honeymoon, your wonderful unsaved spouse let you down gently. I am not going to church this Sunday. And there the excuses start. Soon your stubborn heart has to admit that you are indeed married to an unsaved person who is not interested in becoming a Christian. Oh, by the way, what is the famous text that you heard many times leading up to the wedding? Do not be yoked together with unbelievers, for what do righteousness and wickedness have in common? 2 Corinthians 6 and verse 14. The problem is you kept hoping against all odds that this person you were in love with would not be like many others who married the Christian but made a fool of them into believing you were planning to become a Christian. You are not going to make any progress by constantly reminding your spouse that he or she must come to church and change his or her life. What does that mean anyway? You make church sound like a drive-through car wash. You're already married, and so I suggest that you tell the Lord that you did something wrong, but you are asking Him to do for you what you cannot do for yourself. You need a miracle. So what should you do? Let me talk first to the wives. This one might sound really tough, but if this is your reality, here is something that the Bible recommends. You need to quit trying to force him into heaven with your constant badgering. And lest I forget, you are not going to win by withholding sex from your unsaved husbands. That is not a good idea. Instead, live out your faith in front of him. Wives, in the same way, submit yourselves to your own husbands, so that if any of them do not believe the word, they may be won over without words by the behavior of their wives when they see the purity and reverence of your lives. 1 Peter 3 verses 1 to 2. I can't say how long you should wait to see him get saved, but trust God that your husband will see Jesus in you, that he will have a wonderful wife and a good marriage. After a while, the Holy Spirit will speak to him and he will respond to that prompting. I know a Christian lady who did just that. She stopped preaching to her husband and she spent time praying for him. After many years, her husband surprised her by accepting Jesus into his heart. It wasn't long after that he died, but she was a happy widow, knowing that based on his decision to accept Jesus, she will see him one of these days when they all get to heaven. What can we say to husbands with unsaved wives? You might think this is easy, but think again. Many of us men, we think we have the skills to talk our unsaved wives into submission and accept Jesus at the drop of our first sermon. But you need to come to your senses. It will not be that easy. So what should you do, my saved husband, friend? This might seem like a small thing, but this is your secret weapon. Love and pray. You heard, love and pray. You must love your unsaved wife the way Christ instructs you to do. And your warfare weapon is prayer, not preaching. Serious intercessory in your closet prayer. Husbands, in the same way, be considerate as you live with your wives and treat them with respect as the weaker partner and as heirs with you of the gracious gift of life, so that nothing will hinder your prayers. 1 Peter 3 and verse 7. Well, I can't believe we have only scratched the surface. But I think we did more than that. I believe we have planted seeds of hope for those spouses with unsaved partners. You are God's representative in this marriage. Let Jesus do what he does best, and you will one day see the blessing of the Lord as your husband or your wife will turn away from darkness to light. Have faith and believe it.